All right. Should we go ahead and get started, or you want to wait for a minute?
I think we can probably get started. Hi, Kendra.
All right. Well, then I guess we can get started. And we will start with the minutes from last month's meeting. Any comments or questions or anything about the minutes?
Nope, I would move to approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Thank you, Aaron and Meg. So we will then move on to welcoming our new committee member who is not here yet. So we'll skip on past that. All right. So our priorities with our money that we have left.
Drum roll, please. I can share my screen. So I guess I got to give a big caveat that we got responses from 5 of you, and I have your prioritizations tallied, but I also have some additional information to present about what ended up being the first priority, the senior center white panels that might shift the scales a little bit now that we know a little bit more. So anyway, five committee members responded, and the lowest number is the winning number because we did like first, second, and third place basically. And so the one that came out on top was the senior center white panels. The second place was the fall fun, and then the third was the sidewalk notes project. However, I wanted to share some info that Daphne Shu in our office prepared. Let me click here, see if I can pull it up. So we went back and looked at the original building plans from the senior center when it was renovated. About, let's see, I think it was in 2004. And what we found is that those panels are actually, they do serve a purpose. They're sunscreens, so that because it's a south facing window, it doesn't let too much light in that that window beneath. And each one is about 4 feet 8 inches, and it's actually the material, it's called a Petrarch panel, and if you want to research, you can search Petrarch architectural panel and information will come up. But her description is that it's basically a stone byproduct and fiberglass composite material. I was surprised. I didn't think that it would be that heavy duty. She also pulled up some information about how the panels were constructed and attached to the buildings, which could be used for a call for artists if we wanted to do that. They are not removable. So that's one thing, is it's not going to be an easy feat to remove them. So whatever gets installed there probably would have to be done with a bucket, which would maybe require like a temporary road closure. But I think that we're going to be somewhat restricted in what we can do with this type of material, because I found another document that describes these panels, and they're really, one of their key features is that it's easy to remove graffiti, paint, and other substances from them. And so it doesn't really look like it's recommended to apply paint to them. I don't think that that would be a way to go. I think it would fade very quickly. I mean, they're not, I think it says that they are not really that porous, which means that they don't really accept like a surface coating. The way that they can differentiate colors when they're creating them is by mixing it in, kind of like if you're doing like a colored concrete application, then you mix it into the material before it's formed and hardened. And I do think that there might be still an opportunity though to do, I think Meg sent an email suggesting it could be like a 3D, like a sculptural element that would actually just be affixed or, you know, somehow like attached to the panel. but I don't think that painting is going to be an option. So I am not sure that our budget would stretch far enough to do much beyond just painting.
Can you wrap them? Like, do they stick out enough from the facade that you could like wrap something behind them? Like if they did a print or something?
Possibly, that could be an option.
Or
Let me see.
what about like the material that Jenny Gao used on the salt storage building? Isn't that like a canvas?
I think that you're right, that something like that would probably work. That's the poly tab fabric that you glue onto the surface, and that was glued onto concrete. So I would think that it would be very similar here, but that poly tab fabric is pretty expensive too.
And a glue you could never change out.
Yes.
It would be really hard. Like, because if you wrapped them, it could be like
Get down.
you could do it continuously.
So
Because
if
they
we
do look
wrap-
like they stick out.
So if it was wrapping, is that something you'd like be printing on then? Like printing existing?
That's what I was thinking, kind of like we're wrapping the
Like the utility box.
mhm.
Okay.
I don't know how that works from an artistic point of view, if that's like a harder medium to think about. I like a stretching. I don't know if it stretches it then, or I mean, I don't know how that works. So
Well, we did one, like we had Alpha Graphics print ones for the Middleton Chamber outing 2 years ago that were kind of all weather. And in a not pleasant area, we did it to be funny for work through the porta potties where they wrapped the doors. We took the porta potty sponsorship on a whim just to see what fun we could have with it. But those are like all weather and those are like $200 a piece. They
Okay.
can print anything on those. So just for a
And-
price point for the size.
is that based on square footage or is that based on?
Yeah, I think it was based on square footage. So just
Yeah.
considering a door and then the measurements of these, I would think that it would be relatively the same, like $200 per panel.
Maybe this would lend itself to making the artists come up with something creative within the Call of Artists, that it's not going to be a traditional media. So do we then feel like we need to shift priorities? The weather, I think, is a concern for the sidewalk notes because it'll be snowing soon.
Well, I
Megan-
would worry about timeline with this in general of doing a call for artists. And then, I mean, to be honest, it's why I didn't vote for it for number one, because I think number one, it's a very visual project and it would have a lot of presence. I think it's going to have a big impact. And so for us to kind of push it through in 2 months at the end of the year doesn't really feel like, I don't know. I think it could be really
One-
cool.
One other idea to not, to cut down on time, but still make this work would be to use some like existing things, kind of like the historical photographs that they put in the windows. Or like I know that the Middleton tourism just redid like all kinds of photos of the different areas around Middleton. That might be kind of fun. I know it's not.
I feel like we
And
should
you
view
are-
this like a big installation, like some of the other big ones that we did, and maybe even if we extended out fundraise for it. I think it needs to be, because it is in a really visible location. And I don't like the idea really of repeating things that we've already done in other places. That's the
I
only
do like-
problem with that.
Yeah, I do like Erin's idea though, to use up the rest of our budget, because then we could do, if we did like
Something
a
temporary.
yeah, if we did a wrap
Yeah.
or something in like a tile work, we don't even have to do all the panels. We could do, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them in like a tile work
Mhm.
with something that's
Yeah.
already existing. And so it brings people, because honestly, I never noticed these before. So if something's on them and people notice them, and then we could do a bigger push later to be like, hey, now that you've noticed them, we could do
Yeah.
a fundraising thing about
Something
like, let's-
temporary, yeah, for budget, and then it gives us time to look into more, like what an artist would need, what's possible for putting on them. I think that would be
I'm receptive to that, and then working toward a larger goal for that space later on, maybe starting some kind of fundraising campaign for something bigger in the future. But I agree,
Yeah.
we have money to use, or we are, going to lose it, and I'd like us to see us put something up there. I'm, excuse me, I'm doing the newsletter for the Historical Society now. And so I have access to a lot of historical photos. And so, we could look for some less known photos of Middleton. I could dig around, and if we wanted to do photos, or if we wanted to do maybe even just color block squares, just wrap it in color block squares for now, like some kind of Mondrian kind of look.
One more idea that I just had to throw out. So it looks very much like the council's approving the budget for the utility box project, which is going to be one of the larger projects the Arts Committee has done, $20,000 for 10 boxes. I wonder if one more idea just to throw out is, could we wrap one box this year? Just identify an artist, reach out, not go through an RFP process because we do not have time, but then working with that artist, have them provide something to use for the utility box so that we can try it on one, and then we have all the kinks worked out before we go in for the big RFP and do the whole thing next year.
Good idea. Maybe we could use the artist that Molly really likes. I haven't seen his work, but she keeps talking about him.
Yeah, she really likes Brian
Brian?
Strasberg, and he's a cartoonist. Yes.
Yeah, that would be okay. I think. I mean, how much money do we actually have? Because
Yeah, we have 2,500, but we need to allocate some of that to the fall fund, because Aaron's like been rocking and rolling with the Parks Department and has already set up an opportunity to work with them, and the Parks Department's really gung-ho and really excited to have the Arts Committee involved with the Not So Scary Halloween event, I think is what they're calling it.
Yeah.
Later this month. So we need some supplies for that. And that fall fund was already ranked #2 anyway. And if we aren't going to be able to do the senior center thing, I think it makes sense to put some money toward that. And then, so if you put 500 toward the fall fund, that would leave 2,000 to do a utility box, which would basically be the whole rest of the budget for the
Is
year.
500 enough, Aaron?
Yeah, I think so. I have, so to talk through what I'm trying to, the first one is next Friday. So I got to come up with, or we come up with some type of ideas for that. It's just 2 hours at Lakeview Park from 1 to 3 p.m. And we can always get donations from businesses too, if we need to supplement, but our interior designer has all these supplies that will otherwise be scrapped. So I have like giant box of heavy tiles that I thought it'd be fun, maybe for the tree lighting one in November, to do mosaic, especially with the libraries projects and like featuring artists. It'd be really cool for like the older kids. I don't want, the younger elementary kids playing with broken tile pieces, but for the older kids that don't generally visit the arts and crafts table with the glitter glue, I thought that might be something, bigger that would be great for them to kind of embark on. But yeah, I think 500 would more than cover it. There's plenty of creative, themed Halloween things we can do, or holiday things for the next one.
Well, while we're on this topic of budget, Meg and I have discussed a few things too. I think actually we can probably spend the money without doing a bigger project. We were thinking one of the things is ordering the t-shirts and aprons for volunteers. So when you have an event, or we have an event, and volunteers are involved, we can give them a t-shirt and they can keep it. And we had already approved aprons. So that was one of the things we discussed. And in conjunction with these other events like the Not So Scary Halloween and the tree lighting, we thought maybe we could do some take-home craft as well for the kids. In addition to what you plan to do, or what we decide to do. And then advertising for the art walk. If we're going to go through with the art walk, we need to do advertising for the art walk. So we might not even need a big project to spend all of our budget.
That's
What
good
do
to
you
know.
guys- What do you guys think? Do you favor doing the smaller things as a group and then holding out on a bigger project until the coming year when we get re-upped on our budget and we can start more slowly work on it?
Can I ask a question maybe this was somewhere in a packet that I got, but I don't recall. When do we find out our budget for next year?
It's the same.
It stays the same. Okay.
$5,000 is what we requested, I think, right, Abby?
Yeah, we didn't request an increase in the operating budget because we basically knew it was unlikely we were gonna get it, but we did get the capital budget, 20,000. So 20,000 in the capital, 5,000 in the operating.
Okay, I remember that now. Thank you. Sorry.
The other thing that we've been discussing, and we talked about it in previous meetings, is a donation box when we do events in the public. You know, if we can set a donation box out, because that's money that we then do not have to spend by the end of the year that can roll over. So I think, you know, if we can do that, I'd like to see us do that. We couldn't do it at Good Neighbor Fest because they want to do everything for free. And so they wouldn't allow us to put a donation box out. And kind of it was an afterthought with the summer fun, like, you know, wasn't something that really came up at first. So anyway, so what do we think then about the choices that people made for the priorities? Because we're kind of like getting all over the place.
Yeah, well, I do think we need to decide in this meeting where the money's going, because if we wait until next month, we're we're really short on time.
We do,
Um,
and
As far as
for-
fall fun, Abby, you said there were supplies left from summer though, right?
Yes, there are quite a few supplies still.
Okay.
no, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Abby, how much were the t-shirts that we ordered? Do you know that number? This previous.
That's not in the last roundup that we did. I can't remember. Was it
It
not?
might be in that last packet that had the billing on it.
Yeah, I can try to get onto the VPN
Let me
and
see. I probably still have it in my email.
actually I'm already on the VPN. Cool. Let me pull up our accounting software if I can.
Yeah, I think t-shirts would be good to get, because if we expand these programs, obviously not all of us are able to volunteer for every single one, and it would be great to have those t-shirts to identify other volunteers too.
Well, and if other volunteers wear them out in public, it's advertising for the arts committee too.
Yeah,
I did want to mention, I did remember what I was going to say. If we are going to do an ad in the Midwest Art Fairs guide, which I really recommend we do, the deadline for that is November 15th. So we are going to need to pick a date and location for the art walk tonight. So
Ooh.
that's the
Well-
other thing that we really need to prioritize tonight, and that's further down on our agenda.
one
just a
idea
little
just popped
reminder
into
there.
me. Okay. One idea that just popped into my head regarding the art walk. I'm doing winter, the art fair off the square at Monona Terrace, that second weekend in November. That would be a really good place to hand out, just have flyers to hand out to people attending that
That's a great
for the
idea.
art walk.
That would be some money then too. We could get some of those printed. I already have pretty much everything laid out. I just have to change dates. So it really
Okay.
doesn't take time besides the printing costs.
Yeah, that's a really well attended event. Like, that's why I keep applying for it, because Epic comes through and cleans house.
That's a good idea. And I like the idea of, you know, advertising in multiple ways for the art walk. Okay, so we're back to t-shirts.
Yeah, just kind of roughly adding up how much everything would cost if we don't do something big. So I'm not opposed to working on the utility boxes either.
It looks like the t-shirts were $267 last time.
267 and we only
Or
have
I'm sorry, $269.
69, and that was for like 10 t-shirts.
For 10, and then the aprons, didn't we approved those at a previous meeting, correct?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think up to 500.
Yep, and we haven't ordered those yet, so we can add that too.
Okay.
All right, we're just gonna nickel and dime it, right? And
So we have $2,500. The ad is 500 for the art walk, and let's estimate the printing costs will be like 200. Should we say that? So if we take out the art walk, we're at we're at 1,800. We take out $500 for fall fun, we're down to $1,300. What else did we say?
T-shirts?
Yes, t-shirts and aprons. So like 500 for aprons might be too much. And how much for t-shirts? Another 500.
Yeah, probably.
So
If we only
20.
did 10.
So that leaves us $300.
And that's enough for you. Will that be enough for the projects that Aaron has?
I already accounted for Aaron's project.
Okay,
Are we accounting for the Middleton Youth Center project?
we already approved that and we approved 500 for that.
Okay,
What is
so
that?
that isn't reflected yet, so we should add that in, because we haven't had a charge come through.
I'm not
Okay.
gonna need $500.
So the $300 could be for
The $300 will probably be sufficient for that, yeah.
Middleton Youth Center. Okay, so I think we just spent all of our money. If
All
everyone's
right,
okay
good
with
job,
that.
everyone. Good
Megan's
job spending
officially
money,
the
yay.
treasurer.
That was some power shopping right there.
Okay, but when I first joined the arts committee, I feel like, and Abby should back me up on this, it was like every year we never spent our money. It just like would go in a circle and nothing happened. And I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? There's $5,000 we could use.
Yep. It's true.
Oh, yeah, this is good. We're getting busy.
Okay, so back to our priorities. So we're going to work on those coming year then. Is that what we're going with? All right, okay, so do I need to take a vote on that?
We better have Meg make the motion for how we're gonna spend the money, since she has all the
Details, okay. I'll make a motion that we spend $700 on the art walk, $500 on fall fun, up to $1,000 on aprons and t-shirts, and $300 at the Middleton Youth Center. Does that sound correct?
I would second that motion.
All in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so we are on.
Before we jump to the next one, is anyone available to help volunteer next Friday for the fall fun?
I just put it on my calendar.
Okay, awesome. I have
I
one
don't-
coworker that helped out with the summer fun that can come too, but I have no idea. I don't think parks can even gauge like how many people they're expecting. So
Are they not taking reservations?
no, we just have a
Okay.
section of the Lakeview shelter and it's just open attendance. So it would be good to have like 3 or 4 total, I want to say.
Did you say 1 to 3?
1 to 3 p.m. Yes, on Friday.
Okay. I could probably be there and bring my
I'll be
kids
there
along.
taking pictures for the newspaper, so I can help you too.
Okay, awesome.
We have our new member here. Hi, Sonali.
Hi, Abby.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. I was just listening to all of you and trying to observe and trying to get, if there's some flyers I can know about Fall Fun and ArtWalk, just to get familiar with them and spread the word.
That'd be great. Thank you. Do
Yeah.
you want to tell the committee about yourself? We had you on the agenda, but we skipped over and went to the priorities.
Oh, I see. So sorry about being a little few minutes. Yeah, so I'm Sonali. We are new to Middleton. We moved almost around last year around this time. And, I've been in New Jersey for most of the part of, since 2004, and we moved to Madison area in 2018. I don't have big goals, but I think I'm excited about being part of this committee and learn more from you guys and trying to catch up on what you guys are talking about, the budgets and all. And Yeah, it'll be good to meet you guys in person sometime, when things are more, easy.
Thank you.
What's your background in art? Do you have an art background?
No, I don't have an arts background. I'm actually I was working as a project manager for the last 15 years in an investment bank in New York. And I think where I kind of talked to the mayor and spoke to Abby also before joining the committee was kind of contributing towards Indian art. So Indian culture, like it's pretty rich, and how we can spread that across the city of Middleton and make it more familiar and aware would be something where I can contribute, and also kind of, bring my project management skills here for you guys, wherever you want to use, and also help out in anything, I can.
Awesome.
Well, welcome to our committee.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And soon we're gonna have another new member joining as well, since Mike decided that he didn't want to serve on the committee anymore because he has some work conflicts now with his new schedule at his job. So the mayor said it was gonna be a high priority for him to get someone appointed quickly. So we should have somebody within the next couple months.
Okay, well, shall we move on then to Not So Scary Halloween and tree lighting?
I think we might
So,
have covered
Erin,
it.
what are you thinking?
Are we done with that one, Erin, or do you want to talk more?
Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you say my name. My
Oh,
kids are
sorry.
like banging something in the next room here. Yeah, I can, I think everyone should have gotten the flyer if you're on the mailing list that Rebecca sent out, but they're just coordinating all sorts of things within, Parks is making it a big deal for any time the schools are closed to try to fill with activities for the kids, especially the middle schoolers. That age group was something to do. So they have activities booked on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday next week. We just snuck in with kind of the last little spot and location from 1 to 3 on that Friday. Tree lighting, they're still kind of piecing together the entire plan. There's a whole bunch of different committees and groups that are joining in on that. I think it would be really fun if anyone has any good holiday themed ideas, kind of to have 1 or 2 projects for the younger group and then 1 or 2 projects for the older group. The mosaic thing was just something that I kind of threw out there since it's going to be outside. I know there's a group coming and volunteering with like handing out hot chocolate and snacks, so the kids will be warm enough to actually stay outside and participate in that. So yeah, I think it'll be a lot of fun. Hopefully we get some decent weather at that point. It's November 20th, that Saturday prior to Thanksgiving. It'd be great for whatever want to volunteer. Since it's going to be cold, maybe we could split it up into like hour shifts and kind of rotate through there. But yeah, if anyone has any specific like holiday ideas for crafts that the different ages could do, that would be great. I haven't really thought too much about it yet.
Do you
But I
have
just
a
figured-
Halloween? Do you have a Halloween plan? Do you have?
I don't. That's on my lunch break schedule tomorrow, but I welcome any ideas.
Okay, so
Have to think
The
about that.
library was already doing something with the painting pumpkins, so maybe don't do that.
Yeah, I had
They
looked at
had
that.
like they were doing like a teal pumpkin thing, I think, too, for kids to come paint the teal pumpkins to let families know who have food allergies that they can come there.
Yeah. The only idea that really popped up, because Halloween in general is, doing something with masks so that they have those when, especially since a lot of the schools I know do those like Halloween walks where they're all bundled up in clothes and can't really wear a costume. Could at least have a mask.
Oh, that's a good idea.
But yeah, and those are pretty simple. We kind of did a little version of that. I think when Kendra and I were on one of our nights at the summer fun, and the kids really enjoyed doing the masks. You can do them out of the, like the paper plates with some popsicle sticks even. So that would be a good idea. But yeah, and I've been running around for the last like week and a half, so I haven't had time to stop and think creatively for that. But if anyone has any ideas, feel free to shout them out and we'll buy supplies accordingly.
Okay, so you want us to email you then with links of things if we think of things or see things?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay. All right, anything else you want to add to that?
No,
Okay, I don't think we need to vote on that. That was just like an update. We've already allocated the funds. So, all right, then we'll move on to ArtWalk. Meg tells me historically this has been right after Mother's Day. So,
Yeah, I
is
just
that
checked
what
the
we want to do this
calendar.
date?
So when we originally did this, we cross-referenced all the other arts and crafts fairs in the area, and we tried to pick a time when there wasn't a competing craft fair. I haven't done that this year. I'm assuming they're still somewhat the same as previous years, but we might need to look into that a little bit more. I did just look up Mother's Day, and it is May 8th. So last time we had it, it was on May 18th.
Do we want to stick with that then, since that seemed to work last time, and provided there's nothing conflicting that we learn about?
well, you'd want to do a weekend, wouldn't you?
Yeah. it
May
should be on a-
18th is a,
Right, well, that
Thursday.
same time of the month I meant.
So if we did the weekend after Mother's Day, it was the 18th. This year, the weekend after Mother's Day is the 15th.
14th, 15th.
It doesn't have to be the 15th. It could be the 22nd.
And we're just doing a 1-day one.
Yeah, I
right?
think it was 10 to, let me see.
Was it Saturday or Sunday? Was that a Saturday or Sunday?
It was Saturday.
The only thing mainly in Middleton that I know that's going on, because I got stuck on the chamber planning committee, the annual social, they decided to move from January to May 25th. They'd probably want to stay away from that week.
Okay. Yeah, we did it from 10 to 4. But I'm not even sure that we have to do 10 to 4 again. What do you think, Erin, being at art fairs, do you think 10 to 4 is too long, or is that just?
No, that's great. That's the second day of the winter off the square, and that's
Okay.
fantastic for artists to not sit there for 9 or 10 hours.
Yeah. What, if you don't mind me asking, what kind of fees do they require for artists?
Oh, for like booth and jury fees. So for both on the square and off the square, it's usually about 30 to 35 for jury fees. And booths can vary. A standard booth is anywhere from $350 to $450. And that's just, where it's assigned to you and you don't get to pick. And there's people that do the corner booths, and that's usually like a $50 to $100 add-on. And then those that want to do like a double booth that have a lot of, or like larger mediums, like most often the ones that do like ceramics or something where you want a lot of space so people don't knock over your stuff and break it. The double booths are usually just double the fee. So
they set the booths up for the artists? You don't have to bring it with you?
no, you just get a square like 10 by 10 space, and then you bring whatever you want to set up within that space.
Okay.
Like they have some rules for outdoors where it has to be not just like a pop-up tent, it's got to be like stable steel so that if it's windy, it doesn't blow down and wreck anyone else's. But
Okay.
last time for the art walk, because I did it in 2019, right? Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
We just kind of had a space
Yeah,
where we brought our own stuff.
Yeah.
So you guys were thinking about setting up spaces for people this time?
No, probably not.
Okay. I don't even remember if I paid anything. I think I sent some kind of nominal.
It was
check
like
in.
$25 was the
Okay.
fee, so it was pretty low.
Okay.
I think that's.
And then we also provided lunch for all the artists, so basically the $25 was like a lunch fee.
Yeah, I think that's too low. And at Grantwood Art Festival, what we did was we had one fee and it included the jurying. So it was like a set fee for your booth and the jury fee. And then depending on size was how we determined.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
$25
think
is
you can
is
definitely bump up that fee.
incredibly
because-
low. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do we want to, was the art walk juried before?
No,
mm-mm.
Do we want it?
could be fun.
We have time.
Yeah, I guess it just depends. Did you not jury last time just because, just trying to get as many people as possible? Because I know it wasn't an issue like selecting which location I wanted, so were you guys just trying to get as many artists as possible? It would be nice to have local artists for one.
Yeah, we did. We limited it to Dane County, so it was
Okay.
local, which I know it was a little bit of an issue because we had some people from Lodi apply and then we couldn't accept them because they weren't in Dane County. So we might want to look at expanding that, but I think we didn't jury because we just wanted to be as simple as possible for the first year. And also we were kind of like, who would jury it? So,
Mhm.
because I don't feel qualified to do that. So you have to like hire professional art jurors. I don't even know how to do that.
Yeah.
We used to call upon artists and actually we had the director of the Cedar Rapids Museum of Art jury one year. And so we picked people who were in the art profession.
Mhm.
And honestly, I don't think we paid them. I think that they just did it
To have fun.
for fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it might be kind of fun if you could get, who's the director of the arts program in Madison? Karen? That would be kind of
Karen
fun.
Wolf.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun if she would be a juror.
Another way to do it is you could kind of make a certain number of spots for different mediums so that
Mhm.
you have that variety and say, you know, we have 5. I'm just making up numbers because I can't remember how many total, but you know, we have 5 spots open for painting. We have 5 spots open for ceramics,
Mhm.
Mhm.
and that way.
So as an artist, do you think that having it juried is more advisable?
Honestly, for the stage Middleton's at with the art walk, I don't really feel like we need to go that direction quite yet. If we
Okay.
build up the popularity and like we, you know, have so many that we can't, you know, and people are complaining that they can't get a spot, I think then we go to jury just for fairness.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I
Yeah,
think
I
we just
think
kind of need to
the-
build up the word on it now and get attendance up and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because our goal with the art walk was just to support local artists and support businesses.
Yeah.
And I think that we did both of those things. And it seemed pretty popular. The only complaint was like how far apart everything was spaced. So if we can somehow wrangle it all closer, so there's not so much walking, I think it's going to be a lot better.
What
Well,
about
it
the
is called
green
an art
space,
walk.
Abby?
I mean,
I know. It can
I
be,
know.
it can be a shorter walk. Like, I feel like if we cut off, we don't have to go up to the north side of Elmwood. Or like, maybe we don't do the brewery, you know.
Yeah, I was at
there's-
Capitol Brewery and not a lot of people made it down there.
Yeah, and I think we were talking about shutting or like closing part of, what would it be, Hubbard, like the intersection of Hubbard and Parmenter, if we could just close that and like that whole street is just lined with artists.
Yeah, there is one little wrinkle here that I'm gonna have to throw in, which is, well, you already knew that the Stone Horse Green is gonna be torn up because it'll be under construction most certainly at that time. But I had a conversation with Andrea Van Nest, who's the president of the Downtown Business Association earlier, and they met earlier today. And she was saying that there has been like discussion about when they want the downtown road project to happen, because there's reconstruction of a few roads, including Parmenter Street. And it keeps getting delayed because they've asked us to push it back. And we assumed that they were going to ask us to push it back to next year or to the year after next, because the Stone Horse Green will be under construction next year. But she said during the meeting today, she was kind of surprised that some of the businesses were thinking that they kind of wanted to tear off the Band-Aid and do both at once. If they could stay on the same time frame. So that I don't know yet. I have an email to our Public Works Director to ask him if it would extend the timeline if they did both. And the Public Works Committee is meeting on Monday night to decide, I think, what to do, or to at least start discussing it. So it's possible that there will be roads torn up. They are going to keep the sidewalks open the whole time. And they're going to phase the construction. So it's not like they're all going to get torn up at the same time. It'll be like one segment, let's say Parmenter Street from Highway 14 to Terrace. Then once they complete that, which includes utility work, then they would move to like Elmwood Avenue from Parmenter Street to Aurora. And that might be like the second phase. I think there are 3 phases total.
Out of curiosity, in the future, Abby, is there an opportunity to have this at Stonehorse Green?
Yes, sure.
What do you think about this? What if we switch ArtWalk to Art in the Park? We do it at Lakeview this year, and then once Stonehorse Green is done, we move it back down to Stonehorse Green. Then we're not changing the festival's name again, or we're not like being inconsistent with the festival's name. And it will still give us an opportunity to hold an event this year whilst downtown is torn up.
Yeah, I was on that same thought process, Michelle.
How
If,
much of this is a partnership with the businesses that are downtown though? Isn't it part of the
yeah,
impetus is to drive traffic through those businesses as well, which if everything's torn up is
Well,
what they're gonna want at that time.
but where do we do it then? I mean.
Yeah, I don't know.
Is
could we
Terrace
put it in that
Avenue going
green-
to be torn up?
Terrace, no, that's already been reconstructed. At least for sure, the part west of Parmenter Street would be open. And we do have that festival zone that where there's like kind of a tabletop where it comes up near Capitol Brewery and there's the decorative pavement markings.
Is that where the
So
farmer's
Terrace
market is?
Yes, where the farmer's market used to be. Terrace Avenue would be a good possibility. And there is a ton of parking nearby because we can use the building that has the VA in it on that just under the Beltline on Terrace Avenue.
Steve Cohen's building.
Yes, and Steve is a huge supporter of the arts. So, I mean, we already have an agreement with them that we can use the parking lot on evenings and weekends anyway, but there are over 300 stalls. I think it might be 400. So there's plenty of parking there if we were to go the Terrace Avenue route.
Is there a possibility that we could close down like all of Terrace between Parmenter
Yes.
and High Point?
Yes, that would easily be done.
Okay.
I mean, we would need to let the brewery know and let the businesses know. And there is an apartment building that's there. So we would need to work with their residents. If they were going to want to get in and out during the time of the art fair, they would need to park their car in that parking lot on the other side of the Beltline.
How receptive is the city gonna be though to closing Terrace Ave if Hubbard is already closed? Is the city gonna be okay with having both of those closed?
Maybe they'll need to close a section of it, maybe just like right by the brewery and the skate park.
Well, I
Yeah,
think-
and it's only what, 6 hours, so it's not.
On a
huge.
Sunday.
And I think too that that Elmwood, there'll still be an alternative route along at least part of Elmwood. So if you're coming from the Beltline and you wouldn't be able to turn on Terrace, but you could still go straight and go onto Elmwood. And then at some point Elmwood might be torn up, but that segment would still be able to get you to University.
What about that green space next to the city hall? Because there's a city parking lot right next to that.
Yep,
That could be an option as well.
yep.
The only caution I would say with that is that gets really mucky when there's any kind of rain. So to set up any kind of tents there would be pretty hard. And May's kind of not known for being good weather.
No, actually last time we had the art walk, it rained like all day long. It was terrible.
Yep.
Well, with the
You remember that, Erin?
Yeah, I was sitting there with my blanket wrapped from head to toe.
It was like freezing and rainy. Oh my gosh, it was terrible.
It will be beautiful this year.
It will be. Okay, so wait, I feel like we got off track with this. So is everyone okay with May 15th? Or do you want to
That's-
push it to the 22nd?
That's a Sunday. Do you want it on Sunday or Saturday?
14th, I thought was what we,
I'm
you want
looking
the
at the
businesses to
calendar. Oh,
be
wait.
open, right?
Sorry. I'm looking at the wrong year.
Was it Sunday last year or was it a Saturday?
I'm looking at the wrong year. So yes, whatever that Saturday is. How do
Yeah, I
change
feel like
this?
Saturday would be more well attended than a Sunday.
So if we're
Just-
gonna first,
Yes,
I'm looking for
14th or
those out.
21st. Sorry, what, Michelle?
I was just gonna say that for advertising, if we're doing it downtown, then we don't necessarily have to have a specific location. We can just say downtown Middleton. So
Yeah,
we don't
and
have to
actually-
tonight, I guess, pick a specific spot.
Of that. We can
Yeah,
look at
that's a good
Teams.
idea. That gives us some time to look into the specific location a little further and at least we have a date.
So wait, what did everyone say? The 14th? I missed it. Or the 29th?
I would vote for the 14th.
I would vote 14th too, because the next weekend is gonna fall right before Memorial Day weekend when people might be thinking about heading out of town and stuff.
I have no preference.
14th sounds good to me.
Memorial Day 2022. Okay.
Okay. So I don't think, we don't need to vote on that. We're still up in the air about location. Do we, Abby? Or
Well,
discussing, or
no.
are we-
If you decided you wanted to keep it downtown, I love the idea of just advertising it as downtown Middleton. If you're still thinking that there's any possibility you would want to do it at the park, then we would really need to look at the shelter to even see if the shelter's available at this point on a Saturday in May of next year. And I kind of would be surprised if it is, but
Yeah,
Erin, do
especially
you know
Lakeview.
from the chamber thing that you all are organizing there, do you remember looking at any dates and seeing if it's booked out?
Well, yeah, all the weekends were like a no-go for what they're doing, just because they're doing, like a tent out there because you have to, hopefully COVID is like squashed by then, but you have to plan for the fact that you can only have so many people. Like they have capacity limits in place for the shelters right now, which are they're very restrictive.
Okay.
So if there was any kind of bad weather, you'd have to have the cost of having like tents from A to Z rental, like the large type of event tents available too. So, I mean, I like the idea of Lakeview, but we would have to coordinate. I don't know specifically what the dates, but usually Saturday is the highest book date and they do book it for the full day. It's not just like a chunk of the day. So I
Yeah,
would think
I
with
think if they
graduation, family reunions, that it would be very likely booked.
I like the Terrace Avenue idea because it would kind of be cool if we fenced it and we let people take a beer from the brewery and like walk around and shop. And they do that at Art Fair on the Fair. I think it helps loosen up people's pocketbooks too.
Yeah, and for supporting local businesses, couldn't we also offer them the same thing the chamber does, where they have kind of like restaurants can have their own little booth section to do like their small menus, and they come in and
That's
You
a
know,
great
it's like-
idea.
We discussed
managed.
having food trucks last time and it never came to fruition, but that could be a potential too.
yeah. I would think like Long Table and places like that, we could very easily create like a little mini menu that they have to sell there.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Okay, well,
Well, since we're still talking about the art walk and it's definitely happening, we
Yeah.
need to form a subcommittee because there's a lot to do and we can't do them on these meetings. So if anyone, I mean, you can think about it, but if anyone wants to join the subcommittee, last time there were 3 of us and then Abby was usually at all the meetings.
And I can join and help out. And if we wanted, I mean, probably one of the first things we're going to want to do is we're going to want to talk to Capitol Brewery. Because I mean, if they already have like a major event and the road can't be closed that day because they're doing a run or, whatever it may be, then that would be a problem.
I can contact them, but I don't have their number or their email. I have their, I could look up their number, but you have a specific person that you contact there, right?
Yes, yeah, I can talk with him. He serves on our
Okay.
tourism commission.
Okay. And then just see if the 14th would work before we print any ads.
Oh,
Bearing
I
in
thought of one.
mind, bearing in mind that we don't have much time, November
Yeah.
15th is the deadline. I just want to remind everyone that we gotta,
One more wrench to throw in this, since my firm does the designs for Capitol Brewery. Let me check with him first thing tomorrow, because they were going to be doing an expansion to their beer garden. And that would be a big bummer if they were also under construction at the same time. Like, they've been dragging their feet on it, so I don't, unless there's been some update, I don't think there's a specific date, but I can just check with one of our partners.
let's add this, can we add this to our agenda for when we approve the other project that you were talking about earlier, when we discussed the other project that you were talking
Sure.
about earlier? And I know November 4th is not gonna work for me or Aaron, so we probably need to talk about a date for that tonight as well. But let's move on from Arts Committee, because we've got lots of time to plan this and we've got other stuff on our agenda.
Mhm.
So we think we're doing 14th, or yes, 14th, correct?
Yep.
For the date, and we don't know a location yet,
Downtown though.
downtown.
Downtown.
We've agreed upon that. Okay, so do we don't need to vote on this, do we, Abby, or do we?
I mean, you might want to vote on setting the date.
Okay, someone want to make a motion to set the date?
Or I move for May 14th, 2022. For the Art Square, Art Fair.
I'll
Second,
second that.
all right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so ArtWalk. We are next on to initiatives to support artists of color and I can't read, unrepresented youth. And Maria's not here, so Meg, do you want to speak on that?
I wonder if we should wait for Maria, because I think she initiated the idea, and then Meg and I were just both like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea, but I wonder if we should wait. What do you think, Meg?
Yeah, we probably should wait.
Okay. Do you want to give us an idea of,
She sent us that article that I forwarded on to you about Triangulador
Mhm.
working with youth in Madison, and there was a specific name for the program. I'm not sure what it was called. And she just wanted us to do something like that. But as you said, Michelle actually reached out to Triangulador, and he's not very
he
efficient at getting
wanted
back
to
to
set
you.
up a meeting and then he never got back to me. And so we were going back and forth via text and email, and I just never was able to set something up because we were looking at maybe having him, hiring him to do something at the youth center.
Oh,
But he's just not gotten back to me. So I don't know why he kind of fell out, but that is something we could do with other artists.
Mhm.
Okay.
I, on a side project, think that we should, as a committee, at some point in time, maybe this is a field trip, where we go around and identify future mural locations.
I agree.
Because I think that's one of our problems, is we don't have like a specific location in mind.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, so
So
shall we
do we
table
need
that?
a motion to defer?
sure.
I'll move we defer this initiative to support artists of color and underrepresented youth till the next meeting.
A second.
Okay. A second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so Old Middleton Center sign, we have a picture of that in the packet.
Yeah, I just thought it might be a good time to remind the Arts
Oh,
Committee
yeah.
that we still have this sign here that says Middleton. We delayed the demolition of this building by 3 days so that we could require the developer to donate the sign to the Arts Committee, and then we put it in storage at the Middleton Recycling Center, and that was, I think, 5 years ago or so, or 6 years ago. and it's still at the recycling center. And one of our coordinators called and said, like, are you guys ever going to do anything with that sign, or should we recycle it? And I was like, no, keep the sign. I still want to do something. I would really love if the arts committee could do like a call for artists or something for a way to decorate the sign, which we probably cannot. I don't think we can light it because it is going to be a lot of maintenance and it would need continual repair. I mean, it would be cool if we could light it, but I would love to see it installed on the hill, like where the Corey skate park is, like, and be our version of the Hollywood sign, but it would be Middleton and it would be decorated somehow. I think it would be so fun. So just throwing it out there, and I don't know, I know it would take some money to be able to pull it off too.
I think it's a great idea. I love it.
Me
Super
too.
cute.
So should we add that to our next year's projects? When we update our project list, shall we add it on? We've
Sure,
actually been
maybe.
doing a good job of getting things completed, I think.
Do they have a timeline of like when they need it out?
No, I mean, I think that they're probably just tripping over it over there, but they've got space, and we can keep it in there for a while longer. It's not the end of the world. Those letters are very tall. They're like 6 feet tall each.
Oh, really? Is this
So-
something we could do as like a community project instead of a call for artists?
Possibly.
Like at the Good Neighbor Fest or something next year?
I think it'd be
Ooh.
cool if it changed seasonally too, because then it could not to be an Instagram, because I don't do that, but it would be
Yeah.
something that you could go and take family pictures around, or like, and
It's
then you
an
could do,
Instagrammable moment.
yeah. Because if you think about like the Hollywood sign, it's just in white, and then if we do a seasonal thing, or somebody could sponsor it for a month and do something with it or something fun. There's a lot of potential there, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the idea.
I do too. I think it's great. And that spot is great. I love that on the hill.
Yeah. I think different colored lighting on it would be cool too, an easy way to change it up.
Ooh, some crazy LED lighting.
Can we maybe move it to the hill this next year and then, determine the plan for it afterwards, whether it's lit or painted or does it kind of need to be moved and like stay there?
Yeah, I don't know if you could paint on that hill. It's too steep. You have to paint it before it gets up there, I think.
And I'm sure
Okay.
there's probably some feasibility as far as like stability within the hill and how it's going to be anchored and blah, blah, blah. So there's probably
Yeah.
some sort of study that would have to be done, but
Need to be safe for sure.
Well,
yeah.
Will the city crew install it for us, Abby?
I'd be surprised if they would, but I do think that if we had like the right company that could do it and we could get a cost estimate, I think we might be able to make the case that it could be TIF eligible. Because this is within TIF District 3. It's an
Oh,
improvement. So I think if we had, if we had an idea like that, we might be able to make the case.
I love
So
it.
next year might be determining like what we're gonna do with it, and then we might be requesting a budget for the following year to get it done the following year.
Okay. Yeah, I'm all in. That's great.
yeah,
As long as you think they're willing to hold on to it for another 2 years.
I think they will.
Ooh,
They have
yay.
to. We'll tell
They know there's an end in
Right.
sight.
them. The Arts Committee has spoken.
Oh, that's so cool. I'm so excited. I'm actually really excited about that.
So did they put a different one on the development than Abby?
Yeah, it was actually the way that we leveraged the delay in the demolition of the building is they were basically showing it on their new plans as if they were relocating it, because our staff really liked the sign and we wanted it to stay, but we were okay if they flipped the R and the E because their new development is spelled differently with the center, but we wanted it to stay because we thought it was really cool and people kind of identified with it, because when you would come into Middleton on the Beltline at night, like if you're coming back from a road trip, that was what you would see and you would know like you're here. But then we found out at the last minute that they were planning on putting a new one in because this old one was going to be way too hard for them to maintain, and the new ones are LED, and they had a lot of good reasons why they were doing a new one, but the way that it was presented is as if they were saving it like we had asked. And so when we found out about the change, we stopped it so that we could rescue the the Middleton letters, and I think they probably recycled the rest of them.
Oh, that's funny. I always assumed that you literally took this off and plopped it on the new building, but
Yeah.
it's got another life now.
Yes.
New purpose.
It would be kind of cool. I like your idea, Kendra, about changing it. I think it would be hard to change it like seasonally, just because that's like a lot of changes. But I wonder if that could be like some way we would work with the high school, and we would select like one high school artist each year that like maybe gets to decide like what it looks like, and then they would get the scholarship funds. Or
Oh, that would be awesome.
That's a really cool idea.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great idea.
This might not be a good fit for this, but Inspiring Hope does art, and they are wanting to do something with the committee.
Oh, cool.
And so I've been talking with someone there about, doing a project with them. But that's just, to keep in mind for some project that we have coming up. Does everyone know what Inspiring Hope is?
No.
It's like it's a center for disabled people, and it just opened. It is on University next to Gunderson's, and so they offer classes and seminars in the arts to teach people with disabilities the arts, not just about the arts, but how to dance, how to sing, how to paint. And anyway, art is a large part of it, because Alex Honte's mother opened it. And so he has a studio in there, and they sell art in there. So anyway, they're wanting to do something with us as well, so we can put them on our list of folks to work with. Okay, so the Middleton sign is a great idea. I love that. Let's talk about the utility box project. And you said you think it's going to get approved, Abby.
Yep. It's in the
So is that
budget.
something, when would we get funding for that? When it
They're
gets approved?
finalizing the budget on November 4th, I think. But Mike Davis was just saying that in all of his time that he's been with the city, oops, I didn't mean to stop share, but I guess I don't need to share anymore. He said that he's been here for over 20 years, and he can't think of a time that the council published a budget and then didn't approve what was published. So it's very likely that what has been published will get approved. So I'm pretty sure we're going to get the funding.
Okay. So once we have that funding in hand, then we can start moving forward with that and seeking artists for those projects. First identifying, of course, which ones we're going to do, because we don't have enough to do all of them, right?
Yeah.
We won't have enough money to do all of the boxes.
Yeah, in terms of like staging that, I think that it might be good to like figure out who we're going to work with, like which graphic company we're going to work with before we do the call for artists, just in case they have any specific parameters that we need to put into the call, like must be X resolution or whatever it may be. And I also wonder too, if, I don't know if Madison did this, but some of the boxes are shaped totally, I mean, they're all different. Like one might be like much taller, but very skinny and cylindrical. And then another one might be like really wide and short. And so once we've figured out the boxes that we're able to wrap, I wonder too, if we should like put them into categories and have like a separate call, or explain that somehow in the call for artists, that we're going to need some images that are like long and some that are, I mean, I don't know. So if they can all be repeating, then I don't think it makes as much of a difference if it's like more of a pattern, because then you could like cut it and paste a replica of the same one and then just kind of wrap it. But if it's a specific design or image, then it might be harder to do that with. So we'll have some
maybe assign a box to them, and then they could design with that in mind. Like, we assign, like, give the boxes numbers and then assign a number to each artist.
That would be another way to do it. I was thinking we would do a call, they would submit their art, and then we would be looking at the actual piece before we're selecting the ones that we want to use. But that would be like doing like a request for, probably be a request for qualifications, and then getting artists to submit other images of their work, and then picking which ones we want to work with and having them design something specific for the box.
That seems
I
like
just-
more trouble.
I just looked it up and Madison has the dimensions of the boxes on
They
theirs.
do. And are theirs all different?
This one just has one.
Okay.
Or no, it has
think
two.
they're-
I'm sorry, it has two. One's wide and one's tall.
Okay.
It says utility boxes chosen for this program require between approximately 42 and 62 square feet of coverage depending upon box size and configuration. So they just do like a general dimension.
Okay.
So it's approximately 36 inches wide and 18 deep and 48 high. And then the other one is 44 wide, 26 deep and 54 high.
Do we know
So
the measurements of ours?
we might be able to just do like a general approximate dimension and have like two of them on there. And then we'll just have to, I mean, we'll have to get print files from whatever the printer is, and then it'll have to be in their template that they have built out.
So I have a question when we work on projects like this, and I don't know if if someone wants to explain how the last one was done, that might help me to understand. Is there usually a subcommittee that kind of puts all this together and then sends it out and then brings it back? Or is this something that's usually discussed as a full committee, or how are these things done in the past?
Yeah, we'll need a subcommittee.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. So like, I think what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to be on a subcommittee, basically, if you're on the arts committee. There's not gonna be like an option to not be on it, because somebody's gonna have to be on the art. We'll have 3 on the ArtWalk, and if you're not on the ArtWalk, you're gonna have to be on the utility box, because these are 2 huge projects that we're doing in 1 year.
Yeah. And I just wanted to make sure before we started getting into nuts and bolts in these bigger meetings about these kind of things, it might be easier for a subcommittee to parse all that out.
Mhm. Yep, and then those subcommittees would meet outside of the normal meeting, and then they'll come and discuss it at the general meeting with everyone.
Well, then we should make our first order of business when we find out if we get funding, making a subcommittee.
Mhm.
Abby, question about that. Am I allowed to like participate in the art walk as a committee member?
I think so. Yeah, you wouldn't really have a conflict. It's not the same as when we asked our city attorney if we could hire Megan Mackey to do art restoration work for us, because we couldn't find any other art conservator in the area, and she was a committee member, and that was not okay, because that was like us compensating a committee member. But I think if you wanted to participate in the art walk, you absolutely could. Maria could as well if she wanted. And the other thing that I think is that you could both respond to the to any RFP that we have, as long as there's a competitive process where, you know, like when we do the utility boxes, I wouldn't be surprised if Maria wants to respond, because I know she has a box in Madison, and I think you could as well. One thing that we
It's
could
in one of
do
those upper cabinets
is we could
in the kitchen.
remove the names of the artists when we're flipping through the images that were submitted. And I think we've usually done that anyway with a request for proposals, where we just number them and we don't say anything about the artists. So we could rank, and, you know, we wouldn't have to know what was yours or what was anyone else's.
Okay, I just asked because when like my firm submitted on the Parisi Park shelter, I had to completely abstain from like any discussion or voting or anything with PRFC, so.
Yeah, I think that that's probably a much bigger project and contracts, but this is so
Yeah.
small, I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay,
Hi, this is Sonali. I just wanted to say I will need to drop the call right now. Is there anything I need to address, or I would follow up on your documents and try to catch up, but is there anybody have any question or anything before I drop?
I don't think so.
I think we're about done, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're close to done.
Okay. Thank you so
Thanks
much.
for coming.
Thank you, Sonali.
Thanks. Nice to meet you.
Yes, thank you.
Before we go though, now that Abby brought it up, we need to add the maintenance stuff back into the agenda because Michelle drove by a while ago and said that the bullet holes are weeping. So we need to readdress that.
Yeah,
Okay.
about
our-
2 months ago.
Our conservator that we have under contract has been having some health issues, and I can check in with her again to see if she's able to come and do the restoration work, but if not, yeah, we probably will need to find somebody else to take care of that.
If she can't, do you think that she would know somebody who we could contact?
I asked her last time, and the firm that she recommended was the same firm that Megan Mackey had said that they were the Cadillac of firms and that there's no way we would be able to
Oh.
afford them.
Oh, no.
Maybe we could see if
if,
Megan would do it now since she's not on the committee anymore.
Yeah. She might.
So I know someone, but they're in New York City, so that comes with a price tag.
Yeah.
And it's getting paid for by insurance, right?
Yes, but they've already like approved the amount based on her response and then cut us a check for it.
And how much was that?
I think it was like, it was over 10,000. I think it was like 10 to 12,000, if I'm remembering correctly. It was a two-step process though. I mean, there's a lot involved with getting it done. She was gonna have to stay in Middleton, I think for 3 nights in a hotel each time she came because you have to like wait for the materials to like dry and harden and then go back the next day and paint and then wait and she needed
Wow.
weather.
Yeah.
So-
Do you want me to email Megan and see if she'd be interested?
Sure.
All right, so should that go on next month's agenda? Just so
Yes.
it's,
So it's actually noticed on the agenda, yes.
I will not be at next month's meeting. I will be in Mexico.
Ooh,
Lucky you.
have fun.
I am super excited. I cannot wait to leave.
All right. Anything else?
I did
No.
actually, I did email some photos to Abby.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
The youth center project, we're kicking that off on the 3rd. And Meg found this project that Abby's gonna pull up, and it's a little village. And the youth center liked this project better than the canvas because it's unique. We are going to be switching it up a little bit. This project, the pictures Abby's pulling up are just one chunk of wood. But the project that we will be doing will be creating the houses out of balsa wood. And then the kids will be painting them. It will be a project that would be pretty much year long. I don't know if we have time at the end of the year, we'll add another project in. But this project will take a while because, you know, they'll have to glue the pieces together. It'll have to dry. Then the next session we'll have to come back and, you know, work on it again. So it will be a long-term project. The youth center is super excited about it. Super excited about working with the arts committee on this project. And I guess that's about it. I'm gonna need to order some supplies for it, but the youth center is providing some supplies for us as well.
Cutting the wood pieces.
You can cut them with shears or scissors. And so they'll be making
Really?
templates, and then you score it, and then you can cut it with scissors. So the kids will be doing the project from start to finish.
So cool.
Yeah, we hope it turns out cool.
It looks amazing from the picture, the example.
So anyway, it's just an update on that. So yeah, I don't think, does anybody have anything else that they want to bring up at the meeting?
No, I'll send the flyers for the Halloween and the tree lighting out to everyone just to make sure you had them right after this.
Great. All right.
And I'm Molly McDermott. Can anyone hear me?
We can.
We can hear you.
Okay.
I couldn't get on with my lack of computer skills, but I do hear you and see you. But when you mentioned the walking with beer on the street, you can't do that. It's against the law.
Even if the road is closed?
Check with the city hall.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fine because I just did it at the Madison Makers Market. So you could get a beer. Is that what she's talking about? Getting a beer and walking around?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Has
you
to
can
be
get a
fenced.
beer at like Brass Ring and then you can walk down to Boss Meadery, get a mead. I mean, in hand, like you can walk with a beer within like this certain radius. And it actually wasn't even gated off.
Mm.
So I don't know. I think they're
I
pretty.
think in Middleton,
proud
it
of
would
that
have to
stuff.
be, it would have to be a fenced in area, Molly. It
Mhm.
would not be a just regular on the public street. It would have to be within a boundary that's fenced off.
I think that's fine.
Does that make sense, Molly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions, comments, concerns? No? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Sure, I'll second.
Yeah, that was me. Sorry.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.